Alright, let's be serious. Let's be serious. Good evening, everybody. No, be serious. Can I tell you something? Let me tell you something. Yesterday I felt down to the down to down to down down to the down to the down to down. But today's another day. We go again. Boom. Anyway. Hello guys and welcome to my channel. Welcome to my channel. I am WoodstockSoul, and as you can see by the title, I have quit my job. I quit my job of 9 years and I decided to jump onto YouTube. So here we have it, and here it is. Don't watch my nails. Don't watch the fact that my nails are the way that they are. But look at this hand. Isn't it cute? Isn't it just adorable? But anyway, let me just take a breather because the ADHD is kicking me off this morning. Hold on. Right. No, actually, Chloe, hold on. Okay, all right. So hello guys and welcome to my channel. I am WoodstockSoul and this is Words of WoodstockSoul. Okay, so I'm gonna be trying to be as serious as possible because I'm an unserious girly. But before I go any further, let me just make sure that everything looks the way I want it to look. Hold on. I'm back and I'm better and I'm back. Right, okay, so I'm gonna get into it straight away. Okay, so as the title says, I have quit my job of 9 years and I have no plan. I have absolutely no plan. I'm currently solo traveling Southeast Asia, and all of this came because I trusted God. So I'm going to tell you a bit about my story about how I've got here. I'm not going to tell you where I'm currently at, but I can tell you where I've been. I've been in Thailand for a month. I was in Indonesia, Bali for a month, and now I'm so I'm somewhere for a month. And obviously I'm not telling you because we're live and direct. But there will come a time where I will tell you everything. I have been vlogging, so this YouTube channel is also going to be me just sharing my words of wisdom, and my poetry and my messages from God, but also sharing my travel experience, because solo traveling, don't bother with the fuckery now, read boy. Everything was working fine. The wind doesn't need to start blowing. You know what I mean? The wind don't need to start blowing because I'm gonna start showing some hands. Look at that. That's not how we do it. Anyway, let me concentrate. Let me get back, concentrate, let me get back in the room. Okay, let me get back in the room. Okay, so like I said, I have been solo traveling for the past this is my 3rd month of solo traveling, and that's gonna annoy me, so I'm gonna come back. I'm to whoop that ass. I'm sure I can whoop that ass. So I've been solo traveling for 3 months, and this is my 3rd month, and all of this came about because I decided to surrender to God's process, and God's plan for me has been the most peaceful plan that I have followed, and I just want to document my journey and show people what it is to really trust God, because since I have done so, everything has aligned and brought me to this very moment where I feel at peace with myself, I feel at peace with life, and I feel at peace with the unknown. And as I'm sure there's going to be so many of you that, like me, is someone that needs to have things figured out, needs to have a plan, and when I'm not in control of things, I feel like, oh my God. But what God has taught me, and what surrendering to God's plan has taught me, is that we do not need to know what happens next. We just need to be able to endure and flow with life, because we are meant to flow like water, baby. Okay, so I'm going to give you a bit of details. One more glad me say if you slow down, girl, slow down the pace for me, little woman. Right, let me actually calm down. Listen, I am the most serious person you will ever meet in your life, okay? But the ADHD be whooping my ass. But let's go again. Boom. Okay, so I was working in education for 9 years. I am 30 years old. Big up all the July people, big up all the July Leos, big up all the Leos in general. I turned 30 last year, and I'm obviously gonna be 31 next month. And after my 30th birthday, I just felt like I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And I'm not one of those people that feel like I need to do things by societal standards. I'm not. However, it doesn't stop society from whooping your ass. Do you get what I mean? And they got to a point where all this conditioning and all this conditioning and all these, what do I say? Just life decided to whoop my ass. It decided to whoop my ass, and I realized that I am not fulfilled and I don't know what I'm doing, and better yet, I don't know what I want to do. So I am going to speed this up because I don't want to be here forever, and I know how much I can chat. Can your girl love to chat up the place? So what happened was, as I was working in education for 9 years. Now, academically, you would say that I'm working in education for 9 years, but you can say I was working in there for 10 years. I started in 2015 and I handed in my notice in February 2025. I'm sorry about any noise that comes. It was perfect before. Oh, I could just shut the window. Do you know what I mean? I could just actually shut the window. So hold on a second. Let me just shut the window. Let me shut the window. Let me shut the fucking window, yeah? Window shut. It's hot, but the aircon will just make a tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la noise, and I ain't got the time for that. So yes, so I started working in education fresh out of uni, 21 years old, and I got a job as a learning support assistant. If I'm jumping from one thing to another, it's the ADHD, stay with me or click off the page. Do you get what I mean? So yes, so I was working as a learning support assistant. For those of you that don't know what that role is, in essence, you are a key worker. You're allocated to certain students and you're working under the SEN special educational needs department. So you're working with students that have autism, dyslexia, you might have a wheelchair user, someone with cerebral palsy. You might have students that have social and emotional needs. You might have students that don't fit under any of those umbrellas. You might have students with low needs or behavioral issues, and you are that person that they are allocated to. You are allocated to them, so you support them in lessons. You might do little one-to-one sessions with them and stuff, and you work with a beautiful team from F9. Oh, I love ya. And yeah, you work with the team and you run little provisions, support that student, attend meetings with their parents, etc, etc. So I did that for 4 years, and I love the job, but then there's only so much pay and there's only so much growth. Typically people tend to become teachers after doing that role. That's like your introduction to what it is working in a school. You be a TA or a learning support assistant, but I realized I didn't want to teach. Long story short, I became something called a SAFE worker, and the acronym SAFE, SAFE, stands for Student and Family Educational Worker. Now I know there's going to be some people that are looking at me and saying, Chloe, WoodstockSoul, I thought you were an assistant head of year. And I'm going to say, I am, bitch. That's what I was. In essence, you are literally an assistant head of year. It's just a title that just makes makes sense for people that don't want to spend some money. If they pay us as an assistant head of year, then they're gonna have to pay us as an assistant head of year. If they pay us as a SAFE worker, they get to shave money in their pockets. You get what I mean? But in essence, you are an assistant head of year, so you do what a head of year does, and to be honest, more. You are that middleman between students and parents, students and teachers, students and other students from other schools when they want to come and thump down the kid in your year group. You're also the middleman between students and outside agencies. So for example, social workers and youth offenders, police, behavioral inclusion services, different external agencies that will work with students in school. You are that middleman. You're the representative for a whole year group. So if you've got 10 people that are under social services, you are that person that is allocated to them 10 kids, attending 10 different meetings as and when they pop up and feeding them back to the rest of the team. You're also that person that deals with every day-to-day issues. You got Tyrone and Tyrone, they want to punch each other up. You got Bill and Bob that having an argument, and now they're gonna fight each other up. You've got a teacher that's saying, well, I need this student, he doesn't have a pen, what are you gonna do about it? You've got a parent that's coming down that wants to thump you up because you gave the kid the detention. Then you got another parent wanting to thump up another parent, and then you got someone saying, I need to see their teacher. I need to see their teacher. Then you got the phone ringing. And you have to prioritize and answer all of them calls. You have to be the solution for everything. And it is emotionally taxing. It is such a rewarding and beautiful job. And you learn so much, but it is so fucking taxing. And you don't get paid enough. And, if we were being respected and paid enough, I'm not here to bash my job or anything like that. I mean, anything that You know, any job that you ain't running, and even if that don't make sense, every job is a business. And big establishments like, you know, working in schools and stuff, it's about numbers at the end of the day. And it's not to say I'm talking about my particular school that I worked at, and I'm not here to bash. I'm just here to talk my things and talk my truth. But the point is we didn't get paid enough. And even when it comes to strikes and stuff, we're not teaching staff, so we're not reaping the benefits of being on fucking strike, you know. So as you know, when you work in a role, especially in the UK, where you're a service provider, you're a nurse, you're a doctor, you're a teacher, you're a support worker, we're not valued enough, and it shows because we're not paid enough. And you go home and you're emotionally taxed, you're mentally drained and fatigued, and you have to question, is it worth it? And I didn't want to be one of those people that are stuck in my job, literally, to the point that 20 years later I'm there and I'm still fucking complaining about what I was complaining about 20 years ago. Do you get what I mean? So I had to make a change, and everything was taking a toll on me. And anyway, it got to my 30th birthday, and I remember I had a granny themed 30 birthday, 30 with a granny and a page and a cat. Big up everybody, my family and friends, because that day was so filled with love and just so filled with high, good energy. But I remember feeling the next day like absolute dog doo-doo. Like I just felt like a dollop of shit. And I remember thinking, what the fuck? And feeling like I just need to evaluate everything and everyone in my life. And that was last year, so 2024. And I remember basically the summer of 2024 just feeling so out of sync. And it's not normal for me to feel that way. If you listen to my poetry, I have seasonal depression. I'm someone that goes through the motions, and I think I spend like 6 to 7 months depressed, or maybe like even more than that. And I go into really low mood. As much as I am an upbeat person and stuff, I have extremes where I am this version of myself where I'm very and then I have no middle ground and I'm completely flat. You know, it could also be a undiagnosed ADHD thing, but yeah, so it got to a point in my life where I was just like, I'm not happy. Long story short, because I will ramble, I'm boiling in here, but you know, this is for you. This is for you, my number one. Yeah, I could do that better. Absolutely, I could do it better, but I just wanted to show you lot that I'm a multifaceted babe. Can we be normal? Be normal. But anyway, it got to a point where I was like, okay, I was laying in my bed one day and I was like, God, I'm not happy. What is it I need to do? And a voice in my head literally told me, Chloe, you need to move back home. Because at this point I lived out. You need to move back home. You need to save money by moving back home, quit your job, and you need to go and travel. And I remember getting that message in my head and feeling such a sense of peace that I couldn't even resist against what was being told. I just said, okay, God, bet, got you. Because I literally asked for something. I got something in my mind. There's no way I could deny that that wasn't God speaking to me when I felt such a sense of peace with the words that had just flown through my body. It glided through my body. So I remember that was around August times. By September, I had messaged my landlord. You know, I contacted my landlord and I'm like, I'm moving out of this bitch. There's also reasons as to why, but whatever. And ever since then, guys, everything has aligned. From the time I got that message to where I am now, I'm in the middle of Southeast Asia, traveling solo by myself and feeling so content and so happy. And I've never felt so liberated in my life and so in love with myself and in love with life. Everything has aligned from that moment to now, to the point that I am on YouTube with no job, with not a known job to come. But I'm so content with what God is telling me to do. God is telling me to do this. God told me everything prior to where I am now, and it's brought me to where I am now, and he's telling me to share my story. So I'm here, and I don't know where it's going to take me, but I have faith and trust and belief that everything that God is setting in my path and telling me to do, and everything that is coming at ease and everything that is coming to ease towards me is God showing me, regardless of whether I'm meant to be on YouTube or not, is God showing me that I've got you. And I want to document this and show you what it could look like, or what it could feel like rather, for you to take a chance, to stop resisting against change. So in the midst of all of this, obviously I've had to let go of many things. I'm sorry if it's quite dark. I've had to let go of many things, my job, my car, and I can't even tell you how there's been so many things that have just led to this moment. So for example, my car, my Rosie Posy Poo, my girl, mommy loves you. I remember I got that car 5 years ago when I started this safe working job, yeah? And I remember my credit score wasn't great. So I had to have the whole financing for 5 years. And I remember thinking, fuck you. But look at God. My car finance has stopped in October of 2024. Yeah, that was my last month of having to pay for my car. Everything works for a reason. Yes, it could have happened someone can flip it and say, well, yeah, well, if you'd done the three years lease, your car would have stopped time ago. But everything happens for a reason. Even that coming to an end, when it came to an end, allowed me to have more money in my pocket than I expected. Do you get what I mean? And if I had done that 3 years ago, that money wouldn't have had the same value that it has now. Do you get what I mean? That extra nearly £200 I was paying £189 for my car. That extra £189 was so useful, came at such a crucial time, a time where I needed all the money that I could get. And it just goes to show that everything happens for a reason. And even though we think things are happening and they're not as we planned, and it's, we're disappointed, every disappointment is for a reason. And God will never give us less than we deserve. He will always give us more. And sometimes our wants don't align with God's wants, but God's wants are way greater than ours. I also just want to say that when I talk about God, I talk about God from a spiritual perspective. I was raised in a Seventh-day Adventist household, but I work on a spiritual connection with God. Like, I just talk to God like me and God are homies, and it works. Do you get what I mean? And I'm still working out what route I want to take to God, because personally, my understanding right now is there's many routes to God. I feel like if you move with love, because God is love, then you'll get there. And that's all that matters, is that you're moving from a place of love. You're not moving from a place of ego. You're moving, even when you tell people, you check people, even when you're talking, whatever you do, just basically whatever you do, you govern. Is the movement, is the foundation of the movement is love. I think that's the most important thing, because that's what God is, right? But anyway, these ants are driving me crazy. Pardon me. It's on the headboard, and I just want to just stab. Do you know what I mean? I don't even like doing anyway. Shut up, rude boy, dickhead. Anyway, so everything has aligned, and at some point I want to keep this brief, because I've actually done this video a few times, because I'm like, Chloe, you talk too fucking much, rude boy. But there were a few things that brought me to, outside of just that message that I got from God, I also got other messages from God that I needed to detach. I'm currently living in a state of detachment, and if you're on my Instagram, you will know I'm posting things about detachment all the time, because that is what allowed me and what has led me here to this state of liberation, to this state of freedom. And I believe that in life we're not meant to attach ourselves to things and places and people. And it's the resistance against detaching from things that cause us this anxiety, low mood, and depression. Because what attachment does, it breeds comfort, which breeds discomfort, and it also stifles us. Because once you get attached to something, you start thinking that you can't do without that very thing. So, it's like being in a relationship. You're in a relationship with someone and you can see that it ain't working out. But because you are so used to them, you're so attached to them, you hold on to them, and then you end up in this loop, in this cycle. And it's not until you break free from the cycle that you recognize, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't be here. And detachment is what has led me to this moment here. I have let go of my car. I have let go of my job. I have evaluated friendships and people around me. And I'm prepared to lose anything in order to be replaced with blessings. And blessings can't come if you don't give it the space to come. It's like inviting someone over to your house and your house is mashed up. There's shit all over the place. How are you expecting a person to come and walk in a yard when everything is mashed up? And there's not even there's no crevice any kind, and everything just paka and shaka and shiki. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't expect to be walking a clear path if your path isn't cleared. So you have to learn to let go of things. It's like being a hoarder. You're holding on to all of this shit and you're just piling shit on top of shit and you can't breathe. You're stifling yourself. So I've been walking in on this road of detachment for a while, to the point that 6 months ago I was literally like to my brethren, to my friends, no one's gonna hear from me, because I felt so low, I felt so down, I felt so confused with life, and I needed to look inwards. And from I made the decision to accept that God has a bigger plan for me and to trust the process of God, he told me, Chloe, you need to detach from everything, your job, you're this, you're that. And I did, and I feel so much lighter for it, guys. I cannot stress how beautiful and how peaceful and how in love I am with life at the moment. And I feel like that is never gonna, yes, it's easier for me to say these things as I'm sitting in fucking Southeast Asia traveling by myself, but I didn't just wake up and just, everything had to happen in order for this to happen. So if I didn't trust in the things and in the things that God was telling me to do, I wouldn't have this moment. So detachment is what's led me here. So regardless of whether I'm in Asia or where I'm back home, the gems that I have gotten from detachment is never, you know, is not gonna disappear from me, because that is within me now. Do you get what I mean? And I wanted to just share another perspective as to how I came to detachment is the way forward, right? I started questioning. I've been in a state of, you know, really tapping into myself spiritually and, you know, exploring this, the you know, the being part of a human being. I believe there's the human, we're called human beings because there's this physical body that allows us to experience this world, but the being part of us is that spiritual body, that soul, that internal, eternal part of your existence. That is the most important. It's the most important part. So started looking into myself, and I started thinking about, okay, I believe that we're designed with, God has made us with everything, you know, that we need, and it's man that has brought us to this side of evolution and advancement. And I started thinking about, okay, if God has designed us with everything we need, we're meant to be eating a certain way, and we're meant to be, you know, consuming certain things, and we're meant to see each other, we're meant to see ourselves through the lens of others, believing that, you know, Adam and Eve in the beginning of time, they only had each other, they would learn from each other. So for me, I'm thinking of like, I'm boiling. Hold on, I'm boiling. I'm fucking boiling. Hold on a minute. Okay, sorry. I'd hot like a fire. My desire, she pretty like a Maya. Brown skin. Girl, I wanna shut the fuck up, Chloe. Okay, so I started thinking about Adam and Eve and thinking about, okay, there's so many things I want to say all in one. But I started thinking about, okay, Adam would know Eve. Adam would know himself through the lens of how Eve responds to him, and vice versa. I believe that we can see, we're so interconnected. Everything is interconnected. We're all interconnected. We learn from each other. Okay, if I behave a certain way with you, the way in which you respond tells me about myself. Do you get what I mean? On the flip side, it also can tell you about how people feel about themselves, but it can equally tell you about yourself through the way someone responds to you. I thought about, okay, reflection. As someone who was obsessed with the way I look, not in an obsessive way, but in the terms where, in a sense where I was so self-critical. And since being away, I am on here bare face. Yes, I'm sweating my ass off, but I am on here bare face. And I was someone who used filters, and not even like mad filters, but I was so discontent. Is discontent a word? With my appearance. I'd always pick up myself. So I started thinking about, okay, well, God's made me perfect. He's made everybody perfect, okay? And if we're designed with everything that we need, what reflection, you know, my reflection doesn't matter. And then I started thinking about the reflection and the fact that God didn't make mirrors. You know, the only mirror he allowed us to see ourselves through was water. And I also remember seeing a post at the same time that I was thinking these things. I remember seeing a post, and it was about salt water. And I'm going to see if I can find it. And it simply said, isn't it fascinating how the body is made up of such a high percentage of salt water, and so is earth? And off the basis of me thinking that, okay, we are so interconnected, with our outer world is connected with our inner world, I started thinking, water. Water is significant. Water is how we see our truest reflection. Water is the purest form of anything. You know, we're meant to consume water. We're meant to bathe in water. You can, you know, when, you know, stop your fucking shit. You know, religions use water as a way of purification. You know, Songkran festival. What is that? It's a big water fight in Thailand where it's not even about the water fight. It's the fact that they use water to wash their sins away, welcome in the new, and wash away the old. When you get baptized, you're baptized in water. As a Catholic, you know, you do the holy water. Water has so much power, and we have whatever the percentage, I don't know, but I know we have a high percentage of water in our bodies. The earth is made up of such a high percentage of water. Water's so significant. And I said to myself, well, the only way that we could see our reflection at the beginning of time is through water. And then I started thinking about how metaphorically we are connected to water, in the sense where we're a reflection of water, in the sense where water flows. Water never stops flowing. And like life never stops flowing. So you could have a death, you could be going through a bereavement, you could have got into a car accident, someone could have got stabbed up. You know, no matter what happens in life to you in life keeps going. It doesn't stop. And that's like water. No matter what happens to water, it keeps on flowing. And then there's times when water is very peaceful and very serene, very peaceful and very tranquil, and you know, it just flows. It's steady, but it's still flowing. Like us, there's times in life where we're so peaceful and content and happy, and we're just flowing. And then there's times when things are turbulent, and like the waters, the waves are crashing against the rocks, and you know, there's huge waves that are so consuming, and you feel like you're drowning, and that's like us. But then I started to think, okay, the only reason why the surface is projected in the way it is because beneath the surface, in the depths of it, there's so much going on. And that's like us as humans. When we project a certain way, when we're angry, when we're sad, when we're low, when we've got, you know, and a whole load of anxiety, that's because there's things in the depths of us that are going on. But we have to still keep flowing, because after those turbulent moments, there's going to be moments of peace again. And I just had a light bulb moment where I was like, oh my gosh, we're meant to flow like water. We are water. And the reason as to why we feel so heavy and we feel all these negative things is because we're resisting against flowing, because we're always trying to control things. And although you can contain water, like you can put water in a water bottle, it's still fucking moving. Do you get what I mean? And it still has the ability to take form in another way. Do you get what I mean? Because we're meant to flow. And I also thought about detachment in the sense where, like water, there's so much going on underneath. And there's so many things, there's so many fishes, and there's the corals, and there's the this, and there's the that. And sometimes, like the water, it's flowing in your direction. And then it just disappears. The fish decides, boom, I'm going this way, you're going that way. And I thought, that's like people in our lives. We will be around people sometimes, and they will be flowing with us, but then all of a sudden, you go that direction and they go that direction. And if you try to pull it back, it won't happen. Or it will just cause turbulence and disruption and chaos, because you're resisting against something that is trying to get away from you and is trying to detach itself from you for good reason. And I just thought to myself, we're meant to flow like water. And the only way we can flow like water is if we master the art of detachment and understand that everything is an experience. We're not here to endure things for the time in which we want to endure them. It's in God's timing. So when people are in your lives and they no longer serve you, you need to let it go. You need to let them go. And so that has brought me to this very moment where I was like, my job is no longer serving me. So I need to let go of my job. You know, certain people in my life no longer serve me. So I need to, you know, question whether I need to give them grace and understand things, because although I can I can think from my perspective, we all have the ability, if we choose to see things from other people's perspective. So therefore I can give grace, because sometimes all it is a conversation that needs to be happen, and then we can move forward. But sometimes after that conversation, we may never speak again, but I should be okay with that. Do you get what I mean? So guys, my point is, God has put me in a state of detachment, and I am documenting it, and I'm showing you, and I want to share with people what it could be like to, you know, to really trust God's process. Because I can't tell you how at peace I feel with trusting God's process and God's plan for me. And I know nothing. I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel so content because I fully trust in God. And I also thought of an analogy. This is the last thing this is what I'm gonna end on, right? I thought of an analogy, and I thought to myself, it's like having a pair of trainers, and these trainers or these shoes are your size, right? But every time you keep putting your foot in these trainers, you've got these laces attached to the trainers, And every time you squeeze up your foot and you're doing all the higgy and the jaggy and the jiggy and the jaggy, you put these shoes on and they're uncomfortable, so you keep tripping up. You're not walking properly, you're not walking straight, you keep tripping up, tripping up, tripping up. And every time you try to undo the lace, it doesn't work. You can't do it on your own accord. You're there trying to bite it like, and it's not working. So what do? You get yourself a pair of scissors. So you get yourself a pair of scissors and you cut the laces. Now your feet can breathe. Now you have opportunity for new laces. But if you didn't cut the lace, you'd still be suffering. You'd still be tripping over your foot all the time, all the time, all the time. You needed an external something. You need something outside of yourself to help you. And I can't stress enough for guys that you need God. You need God. Whether you believe in God or not, you need God. And those scissors were God. And what God does a lot of the time is he will place things in front of us and say, this is the tool I'm going to give you to help you get to where you need to be. But if you don't recognize this one, sorry Lord, I'm learning. If you don't recognize that you need this tool, he knows my art, then what can I do? God will give you tools and say use it, but you will be doing up Stevie blood clot wonder because you're too stick rocking on your ears. Let God do the work for you. You know, let God remove people from your life. Let God remove you from places that you're not meant to be in. Your body will always tell you when you feel fatigued, when you feel down, when you feel anxious, when you feel angry and frustrated. You know you're not meant to be in that space. Your body always speaks to you. God speaks to you through your body, he speaks to you through your mind. He speaks to you all the time through people that you suddenly meet. He's speaking to us all the time. But if you don't allow God to give you, if you don't allow yourself the opportunity, you know, what am I saying? You need to allow yourself the opportunity of change by making change and by listening to God and leaning on God, because now you got your scissors, you've replaced your laces, your feet are fine and they're comfortable and you can walk now. You're not tripping over your own foot, but you need God sometimes. So this is just a message to anybody that feeling a little bit lost, that feels like they don't know what to do. It's okay that you don't know what to do, but trust God and trust that he's got your absolute back. And I'm telling you, you will feel such peace and liberation in your skin. Okay, so I'm documenting my journey. I'm vlogging. I don't know if I said that because I've tried to do this video a few times. I'm documenting my journey. I am vlogging, and what I will say is, because it's coming to 30 minutes now, what I will say is I just use the tools that God gave me. So my first vlogs are chaotic all over the place. They're filtered. Some of them are filtered, some of them are not. They're not good angles, all of this stuff. But I am just showing you guys that you can just do with what you have. You don't have to have everything perfect straight away. Just do things, and if it's meant to take off, it will take off, and if it's not, it won't, but it's fine. But keep your eyes peeled, because I will be sharing my vlogs of where I was in Thailand, not so much Indonesia. I didn't really get up to much in Indonesia, but my Thailand vlog, and eventually you will see where I am now, which I have advanced in my vlogging skills, I would say. But yeah, so keep your eyes peeled. I'll also just be doing videos just talking about, you know, things that I've learned along the way. I've learned a lot in education that has actually helped me build different perspectives and build my discernment and understanding of life and stuff through working with young people. And I'm just going to be babbling. I'm just going to be having a chittity chit, but also vlogging. So if you feel like you want to rock with me, stock with me and bock with me, then Woodstock with me, innit? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But if you got to the end of this, thank you so much. And I'm sending you love and light, and I hope that whatever you are going through right now, that, you know, your troubles ease up for you. God's got your back. You're blessed even though you don't feel like it. And just remember that sometimes we have to, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. Sometimes life isn't about feeling good all the time, because if we felt good all the time, we wouldn't know what the fuck good would be. It would just be our normal state. So we need the bad in order to be blessed by the good. And life is about experiencing all of it and knowing how to manage those different experiences that we go through, because even as in this state that I am now, I know that, you know, life isn't going to be great all the time. Even yesterday I felt so shit. When I tell you I felt shit, and I've woken up this morning and I've recharged myself, and God has sent me, you know, he sent me messages through people, through my mother, and I feel so much better. And yeah, so, you know, sometimes you're gonna have shit days. It doesn't matter if you're in fucking paradise or not, you get what I mean? But it's all a part of the human experience. But I'm gonna leave it here now, and I hope that you all have a beautiful, blessed day, and thank you for rocking with me. Did you hear that? If you got to the end of this, God bless you, God go with you. But big yourself up and like, share, and subscribe if you like what you see. I'm out. That was a violent grab from a violent girl in a violent word. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do my edges, but I need to. I need to do my edges. I want everything to look. Yeah, I'm actually not doing my edges. Blend them into existence. Blend them into existence of the British. And then once we blend them into existence, we blend them into existence of the existence. And the existence is the persistence of the persistence, and the persistence is what we're looking for. Because that's what we need in this life, don't we? Don't we, babe? What the fuck are you saying? You know what? I twist my locks whichever way I fancy. Because, oh, you fancy, huh? Oh, you fancy, huh? Nails and hair done everything, babe. Okay, make sure everything is in place, because I don't want to look like a disgrace all over the place, and everybody's going to be looking in your face and they're going to say, whoa, Chloe, you didn't win the race. And I'm going to say, oh no, how are they bumble glad? It's going to come. And I remember when we met and we began dating, and everything was so perfect and we began mating. And then the women have a good she give me John rating. She got the sun and pretty full and I know I'm waiting. And she keep her belly full and never pot scraping. And the closer we become, the more she gravitating. Until we buckle down and there is no escaping. Theoretically, we come on every dating. Regularly, physically communicating. Sexually, scientifically penetrating. Until she starts spiritually resonating. Alright, let's be serious.